Hola amigos, estamos en Comic Con y tenemos la entrevista. En estos momentos me acompaña Mike Towry, que es uno de los 5 miembros fundadores del evento. Hi, welcome to the show.
Glad to meet you.
Please, you had to tell us, how does this monster start?
There were, back in 1969, there were 6 of us, 4 teenagers, an unemployed graphic artist who was 35, and a 12-year-old comic fan. We all got together and talked about putting on a comic convention and decided it was something we wanted to do. So we started Comic-Con.
Back then, obviously, everything was smaller. There was not that much of a diffusion. Of ways to tell what's going on in different parts of the country. This happened every year, first in an hotel, then got bigger. How do you think this became a hit? This became something nationwide.
Well, I think the big thing was that comics and science fiction became more acceptable. They got more respect. They became blockbuster movies. The big change, I think, really happened when Star Wars came along, because so many people, it was so mainstream that just regular people loved it when they were kids, and then when they grew up, they still loved it, and they wanted their kids to come. And so after that, I think it changed, and everything to do with comics and fantasy and cosplay, science fiction became acceptable and popular in the mainstream.
Now, this was an event for comics, for creators, for the artists, the people who brought these things that we all share as a love and interest in. But now it has expanded to this entertainment. Now it's more outside the U.S. We know about Comic-Con not because of the comics, but of the entertainment industry, the films and the television. What do you think about that?
Well, that's great. It's comics have always been an international language that everybody could appreciate comics, and in other countries, comics actually in Europe and some other countries, comics have always been considered serious art, and they've had very large comic conventions in France and Italy for years. They have giant events in Japan. So it's a good thing that people can come together over, because like we had the panel on the voice actors from Mexico. So, but they're dubbing the same movies that people in the States like, the Star Wars and Harry Potter and The Simpsons, and everybody is sharing a love of the same things now.
Doing like a backwards view, remembrance. Have you ever thought, even crossed the mind, this big of event?
No, when our first event, we were in the basement of a rundown hotel in downtown San Diego, and we maybe had 150 people at most there. That's like the line to Starbucks now at there. It's we had no idea, because people looked down on comics in those days and science fiction, and so we didn't have any idea it would be like this. But now it's just, it's amazing how much it's grown.
We heard rumors about moving the Comic-Con to Los Angeles, to another, maybe Las Vegas. San Diego it's where it began. It all began. It's born. What about that? How many? Is it going to move, or is it going to stay in San Diego? What happened with Comic-Con?
I hope it stays, but it's not up to me. They're hoping to expand the convention center. I don't know. The hotels, I don't know. They could be a little more cooperative. With the rates they charge. But I honestly think, and I was thinking of maybe trying to do something to let people know more about it. But I think more people could stay down in Tijuana, during the convention and just take the trolley up and avoid some of these extreme prices the hotels are charging. But I think people just don't maybe know that it's, you know, it's easy to cross back and forth across the border if you have a passport, and there's the new Pede West crossing that's really easy to, and you can get the trolley from right up there and it comes up. So I think, you know, maybe people should be looking at that.
Now, we need to clarify a big rumor that has been going on in Mexico about Comic-Con going to Mexico. We know this is not true, but we really need to know from the experts. What happened with that?
Well, I saw that actually, the press release that the Comic-Con Mexico, and I mean, as I saw it, it looked like they were saying that they were part of Comic-Con, but they had no connection at all to the real Comic-Con here in San Diego.
It's something that you are thinking to do, like a legal action or something. The press release said it's an event that started in San Diego and all people got misled to know it's an extension of this.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was misleading, but and I translated it because I'm only learning Spanish now. I'm taking a class, but so I couldn't read it, but I did the translate on it, and I read it that way. And then I asked somebody who was fluent, and they said, yeah, that's what it said. So I understand they've retracted that, they've taken it back, and they're not saying that anymore. So that's all I know about it, is what I read in the press release, but they're definitely not associated with Comic-Con.
Ya lo oyeron. Now, this Comic-Con, as I said before, it kind of drops away from the comics. Now you have the other event that is Comic Fest.
Right.
Please tell me about it and dates.
Back when they had the 40th Comic-Con in 2009, and a lot of the people that started it and worked on it together, we're just talking about how they missed how Comic-Con used to be when it was smaller and it was easier to talk to the guests and the artists, and so, you know, I just got to thinking, well, you know, we could do one like that again. It's something that would be possible to do. But I mean, we love Comic-Con. It's amazing. We would never. I mean, the fact that this something that was so small when we started is now so gigantic and known around the world. We love Comic-Con and want it to stay wonderful and big. But we also like a small event. So I started Comic Fest, and we'll be having our 7th event next year. It's going to be March 7 to 10. In 2019 here in San Diego. Our guest of honor is going to be Sergio Aragones, the famous MAD artist who actually grew up in Mexico. And so we're really looking forward to that. It's a fun event. We have a lot of artists and writers, you know, guests, but not as many people. So it's easier just to talk to them and to hang out and socialize, and it's a different kind of experience.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you very much for this chat. We learned a lot, and we hope to see you next year and more Comic-Cons to come.
Oh yeah, we come every year to Comic-Con, and come to Comic Fest. Report from Comic Fest.
We should probably do that. Bueno, aquí estuvo conmigo Mike Towry, que es uno de los 5 miembros fundadores. Yo soy Ricardo Méndez, esto es Juegos, Juguetes y Coleccionables. Seguimos desde San Diego.